Hello, and welcome to Nintendo Voice, your voice for everything Nintendo. This is episode 121, recorded on the 3rd of January 2018. My name's Lewis Pugh, and joining me to talk Nintendo, we have Harrison Milfield.
Welcome to a new year and a new dawn of sorts.
Indeed, and also joining us on this new dawn, we have Colin Crompton.
I mean, you say new dawn, but it's like pitch black outside. Hello, everybody. Yes, welcome. 2018.
Indeed, it is.
We made it to 2018.
We record around the globe, and we have made it. This is the first episode of 2018, and what better way to celebrate the new year than to look into the past? The main feature for today is we're going to be ranking our top 10 Nintendo games of 2017. It's going to be a uniform list, including both Switch and 3DS, and hey, maybe even some smartphone games. You never know. They're eligible, at least.
There
all Nintendo stuff. But we also have...
I was going to say, no, you're good. It's just, I think right now it's been a very interesting year knowing that, like, what we have with the Switch now. And, of course, we weren't sure as far as how the 3DS lifespan was going to go into 2017. And, surprisingly enough, it chucked along a little bit here and there. 2018, a little bit more different a little right now. And I have to say, I'm ready to hand out some Voiceys, as we call it right now in this 3rd annual award show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember who came up with the name. Colin, was that your idea? Was it the Voiceys yours?
Don't point at me. I don't know.
Maybe it was me. No. But it
might have been you. It might have been you, Colin. No, Lewis. It might have been you, Lewis.
But yeah, we do have, and this is new for this year, new for the 3rd Voicey Awards, we do have dedicated awards to give out. We have 4 of them, and these aren't top 10s, these are just single awards, but we will be awarding Best Graphics, Best Audio, Best Gameplay, and Best Story, in addition to just the top 10 of everything altogether. However, before we get into all that wonderful goodness, we do have a little bit of what we've been playing. A little bit of catch-up. Obviously, we didn't do a show last week, so let's have a quick catch-up before we jump into a little bit of news and before the big feature of our game rankings. And so, the big question, what have we been up to? What have we been playing? And seeing as we're on a Nintendo podcast, I think it's best for Colin to let us know what you got for Christmas.
I've been doing something away from Nintendo. So, yeah, Christmas. Christmas happened. A few days, actually. I think it was the 23rd. My dad turned up and handed me a plain white box, which was always scary when you're given a plain white box. And here's your Christmas.
You're afraid of him giving you a plain white box?
Well, it's anything could be inside it, you know?
It's a bomb. Sorry.
Merry Christmas.
Wait. I'm not sure what the white quality has to do with this, but isn't that just kind of the thing for Christmas gifts?
Well,
someone just gives you a present and it's wrapped and you don't know what's inside it.
It wasn't wrapped though. It was just a plain
Oh, so that's the concerning part.
Yeah, it's like here's a box. It's a fairly weighty box, and I'm like, okay.
Ooh, all right.
So I opened up the mystery box, and inside was a PS4. And so I know I feel like I should be excused to a PS4 podcast right now.
No, we're very accepting of things like this right now. I mean, I myself have a PS4 I got recently, and I think I was one of your first friends on there. So
yeah, you are. Yeah, I was like, "Where's Harrison? I got to find him." But yeah, it was cool. Kind of surprising. I asked for a Switch, got a PS4. I can't complain. You know, that's not a terrible deal. But yes, 2018 will be year of the Switch, folks. I will get one eventually. I promise.
But first, you'll be playing Monster Hunter World, though.
Yes, I will. In fact, you might not see me when that game comes out for a while, so I might.
If there's a missing seat,
yes, I was going to say
kind of during the release of Monster Hunter Worlds, may not be a coincidence.
Yeah. So be prepared for the Colin to take a bit of a leave of absence for a while once Monster Hunter World gets here.
I did play the Monster Hunter World beta, and it was awesome. It was really, really good. So
that is good to hear.
Genuinely super excited for Monster Hunter World. Yeah, that's basically what I got for Christmas, and that's basically what I've been up to. Really, it's that new toy syndrome. You get something new, you have to exploring little features and stuff. Overall thoughts on PS4? It's a nice little system. Yeah, I can't really complain about it too much. So
can you give us a little bit more? Like, I know it's not Nintendo, but as we're in the intro still, what have you been playing on the PS4 apart from the Monster Hunter World beta?
Okay, so I got given Fallout 4 alongside my PS4. And honestly, I don't think it's very good. Which which might be controversial to say, but I think in comparison to Fallout 3 and New Vegas, which were outstanding games to me, Fallout 4 is a huge step backwards. For some reason they decided to focus more on, hey, now it's a real first-person shooter, and I'm like, the shoot mechanics in Fallout 3 and New Vegas were ropey, but they were meant to be ropey. This is like pinpoint accurate. I don't know. There's less RPG stuff in it. Level ups don't really mean anything anymore. It's like, okay. So I played that, and I later on I subscribed to PlayStation Plus just so I can get another free game. And I ended up getting, it wasn't free, but I got a discount on it, Neo for PlayStation 4, which currently is the absolute best PS4 game that I played. So
yeah, that's one on there. Although, even though I haven't started playing it right now, again, this is how I've been bad with my PS4 the last month, just because I've just been going switch, and it's like, oh my god, I have this backlog. But I'm starting near Automata, which is just phenomenal right now, and I think if that was even on a platform right here, say like a Nintendo platform, I would actually say that's up there. It's probably my favorite games of the last year. But also, its music is just stunning. So it's just good to see that, after a bit of a rut that Platinum Games kind of had for about a little bit, with the kind of going crazy with like licensed games and just kind of their output. But this one's like, wow, okay, you're back on your game right now, so it's good.
Yeah, no, actually, Neo I really want to play, but Neo, the Team Ninja game which I've got, that's awesome. Neo Neo Automata is one of those ones that, man, I keep looking at that. I think this looks. I've got to get my hands on that at some point. From what I hear, it was like Platinum Games did an amazing job with that. So, yeah, that's on my list. That's on my list of games to get.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. Well, I say looking forward to. I have to get a supporting console first, but that looks good now as well.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bring the PS4 onto the podcast every single episode, guys. Don't worry.
See, no, it's courteous to ask. You've got the new system. We're not
gonna have like a little Cole's PS4 corner of the show.
That's going to be a exclusive feature.
So it's like during the live stream, it's like, all right, if you want to continue to listen to our Nintendo stuff, it's on this channel. Go over to the side. And it's just going to morph into this whole thing where everybody's like, yeah, we're now a joint Sony and Nintendo podcast now. Yeah. So I don't know. It's a little bit of a mixture there. I don't know if that's a bit of a genre.
I think they're just called gaming podcasts at that point.
At that point, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, that's basically all I've been up to, really.
Awesome. All right. And how about yourself, Harrison? How's Christmas treated you in the gaming world?
Well, what I got though, I ended up getting Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for my family, so that was good. Cool. But also, since I have a PS4, the other game to add to my backlog was Horizon Zero Dawn. And so that's like 300, 400 hours of gameplay that awaits me right now.
Yeah.
Other gaming stuff that I really got though was well, not really gaming related, but it was more for my amiibos. My roommate downstairs, he got me a amiibo case. You've probably seen the ones where it was it's like these block stairs from Super Mario Brothers with the flagpole. So I set those all up in my corner right here, right now. So it's a nice little setup and such. So, but it's definitely creating a point right now where I'm like, I don't think I can fit any more amiibos on my part of my shelf over there. So there's gonna have to be some rearranging, or something's gonna have to happen where I'm like, okay, I have to buy some bigger shelving. So that was a great little gift there. He also got me Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, so it's good there. Again, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is the only Switch game that I actually got Christmas-wise, but I did kind of treat myself here and there for a few games.
I mean, Xenoblade 2, that's not bad.
No,
not bad game to get.
That's good value, that is.
That is
really. You're going to pick one game to spend a lot of time in.
Yeah,
that's a good pick. Even if you don't do any side quests, you mainline that thing, you've got a lot of time because that's basically.
Oh no! And I gotta start playing it right now because everybody I know is either just beating it or close to beating it right now. So I'm just kind of just going to a point. I'm like, okay, I just gotta avoid spoilers here and there. And I'm sure you all saw the post whatever I had. It wasn't really non-spoilery, whatever. It was the caption was somebody recorded a cutscene from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it says the best, like, this is the best battle execution transition ever. Yeah, and it's really funny. I don't know.
It's
super anime.
It's. I mean, there seems to be. I don't want to say crude humor, but it kind of is. There seems to be a lot of that style of humor in the game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is very, very anime. I thought it was funny. I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. It's cool.
But other than that, though, I just been hitting up my backlog. But I did recently review a game for Pure Nintendo called it's a 2D pixel run and gun shooter platformer. It's called Bleed, and it was originally done. It was originally, I believe, released on PC and Steam, PC and other consoles back in 2014, and it got a late release in December from right into the Switch. And the best way I can kind of describe it is it's you're in control of this female protagonist. It's like I said, it's 2D run and gun. It's unique little control system where it's like, hey, obviously left stick is to move, and then right stick is you use to actually fire your weapons, whether it's like machine guns or rocket launchers. And then you have abilities such as like a bullet time S slowdown, which you can come in very handy for boss battles. And of course, you have this dash move, which is very helpful when you actually use to slow down time. I don't know. It's one of those type of 2D shooters out there that I really feel like kind of spice things up, especially in that genre. And I got a really good time with it, but it is criminally short. Like, I think I end up beating it in around an hour and a half. Wow. So, and it's only like $15 on the eShop at this point. So if you were to get something on there, wait for a sale. But I don't know. It's got a nice little bit of humor to it, and I like the stage selection, which is basically a kill list, like in Kill Bill, where it just like it shows the boss of all 7 or 8 of these things, and it just once you beat one, it just crosses off. And
that's cool.
And and you can choose your different type of difficulty through each level. So it's not like start the game, here's the difficulty level, and you have to start all the way over. No, you can go to each level and choose up to 4 options of difficulty. And I don't know. And it's a game. It's hard at sometimes, but it doesn't punish you. It's very generous with its checkpoints too. So it's I don't know. Like there were some points where there's a boss marathon that near the end, and I thought like by getting I'm gonna die in the middle of this boss, and I think I just start the whole thing over. No, it starts you back at that same boss. So each checkpoint's a new boss. So that's very generous. But if you ever get a chance, check out Bleed. I liked it. I really did. But it's just wait till a sale. And
yeah, that's my question on that, because you say some things which you set it up quite well. Apart from the drawback of it's not a very long game. So is there any replay value there?
I think the replay value you can get from that is like the different modes. There's a challenge mode which you can actually battle up to 3 different bosses, and then there's arcade. Well, I think it's called arcade mode, but it's a mode where you go through the entire game with 1 life. So
that's like hardcore as well.
Yeah, that's to me, but because the game entices you to actually, aside from getting different ranks through each bit of the combos that you do when you defeat enemies, and how fast you actually defeat them. So that entices you to actually go back and do a little bit more. But it respects your time, even though there's not a lot of time where you can finish this game, where it's like an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete. And I don't know. I just say wait for a sale and check it out for a little bit on there. I mean, it's like I said, it's getting to this point where I'm like, I got to stop reviewing games and I got to start getting in my backlog. And then again, you realize, I got work. And then it's like, oh, wait, I got this to do. So it's very, that's my resolution for this year. Plan out everything when it comes to, my games. I did the same thing when I watch movies, for instance. It's award season. I have on a piece of paper of, movies I need to see. And I'm just slowly but surely kind of going down from each one. And it's like, I'll see this Tuesday. I'll see this Thursday. And that's the same thing I have to do with my games. It's like, okay, I'll play this for 2 hours.
I mean,
play it for 2 hours.
Your free time is going to become valuable. And I think you might have got the worst game to eat up the free time in Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
The best game.
That's going to devour your time, man. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have a great time doing it. So that's the important thing.
That's
I know. I don't know. And there are games like that where I wanted to say like, hey, I'm just going to use a walkthrough to get through, and then people's like, oh, that's cheating. I'm like, no, it's like I just want to get through this as quickly as possible. But some may think differently. So, but that's what I've been up to on break, and I really hope to change that a little bit right now. I still haven't even played the Breath of the Wild Champions Ballad yet, and that's something on my list still.
Yeah. That is, it's a good problem to have, right? Oh, there's too many games, too many good games to play through. Just set them up, you get through them. Mm-hmm. There's no rush. Enjoy.
There's no rush.
There's no rush. I mean, apart from this one episode where we're ranking the things which came out last year, but apart from that, we're all good.
Indeed.
Anyway, what I've been doing is I didn't get any actual games. I've got some gaming stuff. I actually got a surprising amount of gaming shirts, which explains why I'm not wearing a gaming shirt. They're in the wash. That was a missed opportunity. However, kind of related. In the meantime, I've put some new gaming posters up and some just anime posters.
That's cool.
I see. It's definitely populated a little bit more since last time.
Yeah, I got some bigger ones. I've got a particular bigger one, which is this one over here. And then I looked for other things to put next to it. Anyway, to transition along, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I've now beaten it.
I was going to ask you. Yeah.
How many hours did you clock in at?
I can't trust the clock on it. But what the clock says, the clock says 120 hours. But I can write off a lot of that. So I reckon realistically, still quite a lot. But I reckon it's about 80 hours or so.
Okay.
But yeah, the caveat there is I really mainlined that game. I did hardly any side quests. I didn't do any grinding, as it were. There's like one instance where I needed to grind, and that was it for the whole game.
Yeah, that's kind of unusual for an RPG where you don't have to grind to get through the game. Yeah,
and especially one of that length. You're just going from place to place, and it's what I liked about the original game. It's a big game, but you get through a lot.
Honestly, I would say that's the mark of a well-designed RPG, that you don't need to grind. A lot of RPGs choose that as a time sink. Extend the game. You need to level up a bit before you proceed. Yeah.
But on the other hand, in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and that's a mental note, is I've noticed when I'm listening to other people on podcasts talk about games, is if you don't say the name of the game you're talking about more than once during a conversation, you can almost forget what they are talking about. So, the other thing in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is I have a friend who's also playing it, who's playing a completely different play style. And he's someone who does all the side quests. And there's a lot in this game. There's a lot of extra stuff going on. And you get like quests which just open up other quests, and you get skip quests which are just in certain times of the day they'll be there. Or if you use a particular blade on their own on a mission somewhere, and there's so much extra you can go in. And the advantage as a person who doesn't do much of that, is it makes the world feel a lot more alive.
Yeah,
that you can like run into a certain corner of the world, and there's probably something interesting there, because there's so much just dotted around everywhere that even if you're not trying to check things off a checklist, and you're just going to do some of them, that stuff kind of feels more interesting, which is really cool. But yeah, just very because I'm sure we'll go into some of this stuff hopefully later on. I was very satisfied with the end of the game. And looking back on it, I actually do, and it's not been that long. So, that can sway these sort of thoughts and so on, but I do prefer this game to the original currently.
All right.
And I was not expecting that going in. I wasn't expecting it when it got announced, especially earlier this year. And, you get the early footage of it, and it's like, that looks cool. But at no point does they think this is going to be better than that game I really, really liked. But yeah, the story blew me away. You have this, I'm not going to go into any details whatsoever, very, very vague stuff I'm talking about here. But there's a bit at the end where they kind of explain how the world is, how it is. And I didn't see it coming in that sort of way. It's like, they do explain all the weird stuff, and they tie it all together in some weird logical way. And it's really cool. But like, you do have obviously fantastical battles and the smallest stories as well. And it was just a very fun game. As I said, there wasn't much grinding for myself to me in terms, repetitive battles and such. I was just going from story point to story point because the drive of the story is what pushed me through.
Yeah.
But talking again with my friend, I realized that the game has so much more depth that if you're not playing it that way at all, and you are just going for all the quests, you can spend so much time doing that stuff. And apparently it's good at doing that. I can't comment on that myself, but if you're into that type of game, apparently it's very good at that side too, and it's going to keep you busy for a long time if you go down that route. And yeah, I was blown away by Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
That's cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to check it out as well. I mean, I know I've been on a delay, but it sounds like this exceeds enough that I wanted out of the first one, and then even with X.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be very interested to talk to you about the story after the fact. But I won't go into anything. Let's jump straight into our news, our Nintendo news, and we have 2 items to talk about before we jump into our game rankings. And the first is something which shouldn't be missed. Is not only a new ARMS character is being announced, but the final ARMS DLC character has been released now.
No,
this is bittersweet, surely. Colin's not fussed.
You don't even have a Switch. You don't even have a Switch, and you're saying, "Come on."
And the new ARMS character is Dr. Coyle, and it's a really cool character. It's hard to describe, really. It's like kind of this levitating female, green-haired, lab coat-wearing fighter. And her specials are like she can teleport like short distances, and she can do some of the rush type moves that the headlock character can. Right. It's a very cool design. Oddly fits in well with the rest of the cast, but also does look unique. And I've not played much as her, but she's cool to fight against. It's nice to see her in the cast. It does feel like a much more well-rounded cast of characters now than when the game originally launched. And I think even though it's their final one, it's got to be commended. A fighting game with 3 characters. I can't think of any other one which has done it. As simple as that is.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I despite my at the beginning, ARMS is a game that it generally does impress me by what they managed to achieve with ARMS. I didn't think it would hold people's interest, but it has. I mean, they've done this Splatoon.
Well, I think yes and no. Like, it's held my interest. But I think, like, the word on the street, as it were, the word on the internet, is that most people don't call ARMS. The ARMS Street. There's no ARMS Street. But if you were there, apparently people don't talk about ARMS anymore. Apparently it's just me. Everyone dropped it as soon as Splatoon 2 came out a couple of weeks afterwards.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's very interesting for something like this game where it's like it holds your interest so much for me for like when it was released in June, and then Splatoon 2 just comes out and it's like, well, see you later. But But this is a bit of an example of something of like how I like how they're doing, expanding content from this. It's like, hey, you have this full featured part of this game right now, and depending on the content, whatever, it's like, hey, we're giving these new characters, whatever, but we're going to slowly roll them out for like after the year. And aside from some balancing tweaks in here and there for, I think, until the mid 2018 or the end of 2018, that's basically it's going to be all that's left for ARMS. So I do say, though, that the Party Rush portion on there, that's a nice little addition.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, it's a game they have been adding to, the Party Rush mode, like the whole badge system, and they've been adding to that since it's been launched. Obviously, the new characters. There's been other modes as well, like the mode where you play as Headlock, essentially. A bunch of stuff added to that game, all for free. And yeah, I've poured a ridiculous amount of time into that game this year. But yeah, it's fun stuff. It's sad to see the content run dry, as it were. But I'm sure we're going to have lots of other servicey type games to replace it this year. I was
going to say, just wait till ARMS 2 gets announced.
I'm not sure we can have an ARMS 2. I hope we have ARMS 2.
Do you think? I think I'll take another stab at it. I think they will.
I hope so, but I wouldn't put money on it at this point.
For a new IP, it did sell surprisingly well. I think it was like around 1 million or 1.5 million. Don't quote me on that, but it was definitely over 1 million.
Yeah. There's enough justification for a sequel.
Oh, no, I'm not writing off. I'm not saying that we're not going to see one. I'm just saying it's not guaranteed we're going to see one.
It is, but if there's a guarantee, though, we are seeing one of these characters in the future Smash Brothers. I mean, it's guaranteed.
Yeah, that's more likely, I think.
Maybe.
I don't think of it. I hope. I'm the one who really likes the game. I hope we see another one. But yeah. Let's jump straight into our next bit of news, though, and this is a bit close to home. Nintendo themselves have started their own official podcast, officially putting us and all other Nintendo fan podcasts out of business.
Yep, we got competition, boys.
Yeah, like the good old days, they're going to hold all the exclusive stories to themselves. Not release anything out to the media. But no, I mean, who's heard the official Nintendo podcast?
I have, and that was I actually did listen to it on my my ride back home, like for my family's home for Christmas, since I work Christmas Eve, and I just popped that in. And the fear, though, when you get like an official sanctioned Nintendo podcast is, I don't know, when you look back at the early portions of Nintendo Power, you know, what did we know about that? Whatever. It was that thing where it's like, okay, tips, tricks here and there, but in its heart, when you kind of looked at reviews, some may have kind of just said, like, well, it's made by Nintendo, since it's technically kind of propaganda almost.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's basically what it is.
But this one, though, it carries on the spirit of it really well. It's hosted by Chris Slate.
It carries on the spirit of propaganda.
So not that. No, not that. It doesn't do that. I'm just saying
Forget about that.
Well, I mean, it pulls back the curtain a little bit more on like looking and taking like those sections from Nintendo Power and putting it more into audio form. Yeah. It's Chris Slate hosts this, and he was the former editor-in-chief at Nintendo Power magazine before it shut her down about almost 5 years ago. And Dan Barker, the guy whose voice you'll probably remember from a lot of the Nindy presentations, and Kit Ellis, who's from the Nintendo Minute. I highly recommend subscribing to it, though. One of the best things that they did on there was they talked to Eiji Aonuma and Hiromaru Fubiyashi about the making of Breath of the Wild. So there's a lot of good little neat Easter eggs that they kind of pile on into that. So they kind of go into the fact of like how they wanted to make Zelda a little bit more, from her own story and perspective of Breath of the Wild, which to me, I find probably one of my favorite portrayals of Zelda next to Skyward Sword. So,
right.
But yeah, I liked it. And I'm just glad to see something that's like, the Nintendo Power name going on further, and just, I don't know. I'm happy for anything new on this one. So.
Yeah, you see, me and Lewis being in Britain, Nintendo Power doesn't really mean much because we didn't really get Nintendo Power over here. We got the official Nintendo magazine. That was about it, I think. But yeah, it's cool that they're doing their own little podcast. We're in trouble.
I like how you put it down immediately. Well, like even from the voice of our podcast, they're doing their own little thing, aren't they?
They are.
Off to the side.
They're small time compared to us.
Small fry. We've been running 121 episodes. They can't compete to our professionalism. But yeah, one thing they can't. Like, I will check it out. I originally was going to check out on YouTube, and they didn't do a video podcast.
These new guys on the block don't know what they're doing.
No, they'll learn. They may learn. I don't know how frequent it's going to be, but yeah, I'm eager to check it out. I'm a lover of podcasts in general. I have many podcasts on my rotation, and I'm more than happy to add another one, especially if it's officially sanctioned, to get another side of the story, as it were.
Yeah,
it would be cool. Anyway, I think it's time. It's officially time now. We've got some awards to talk about. We've got some games to rank. But I think first, we reached out to you on Twitter to ask what were your favorite Switch and 3DS games from 2017. And you gave us our results. And so I think now would be a good time to go through those.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, on the Switch side of things, and because it was a Twitter poll, we had like 4 options. And the 4 options were Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and other. And they were ranked in the same order, with Breath of the Wild coming in first with 59% of the votes.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, by a big lead there. And then 23% with Super Mario Odyssey, 13% with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which not too bad. And then 5% with other. And so it's only fair now because we did say, if you say other, list your answers below.
Yeah, I will say though, I was the one who constructed these polls, and everybody was asking me like, why isn't there more titles on there that you could list? It's just, well, Twitter only gives you 4 options for a poll, and I really wish they would expand that a little bit more. But again, that's whatever the character limit, and I don't know. It's
we still can't edit our tweets, man. They're not going to expand the poll thing.
You should never edit a tweet. It would be wrong to. Thanks everyone for voting. We had 128 votes on that. That's a pretty active poll from us.
That was awesome.
Thank you all for voting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other results. We had a couple of Splatoon 2s, quite literally. But we also had Vroom in the Night Sky. I think that may be a joke answer.
It might be.
It might be. From our friends and rivals from Nintendo Radio. Mike the Nile McSturdy.
Yes.
I get my mics mixed up here.
Him putting a game on here that has a 17% Metacritic rating.
Game of the year.
Well, for some it is. And we also talked about 3DS games, because 3DS is still a thing, even in the year of 2018. However, we gave you 4 options, and I'm gonna read out the results this time. The winner with 41% was Metroid: Samus Returns.
Ooh, okay.
And following behind with 22%, we had Pokemon Ultra Sun, Pokemon Ultra Moon. Then, very, very close, 19%, Fire Emblem Echoes. And also very close was Other, with 18%.
Okay.
And so let's check our other options. From comments on here, we had Ever Oasis, Leighton's Mystery Journey, Catriel, and the Millionaire's Conspiracy. I don't think I've ever read the whole thing out loud.
It rolls off the tongue.
Oh, absolutely it does.
Yeah. Apparently that's getting a TV show at some point. And also Metopia.
Okay. Interesting.
I forgot that was a thing. But yeah. So back to us. We're going to give out some awards first. And so we've got visuals, audio, gameplay, and story. So let's start with visuals because it's top of the list. Makes it nice and easy for me.
Right. It's easy. It's easy on the it's easy on the eyes, if you would say.
Oh.
See what it there.
It is, which is perfect for a originally audio only media. But we have videos now. We got images in the background and all that wonderful stuff.
Lewis is advertising right now.
What am I advertising? I don't sell them.
You have to watch the video to find out.
Oh, I'm advertising the video. Yes, you should go to youtube.com/Nintendo Voice. Check out what I'm pointing to. And note I'm pointing to things.
Well done.
Anyway, on our best visuals category, open to all platforms, as long as it's a Nintendo game. What should we start with here? What stands out graphically? If you're just talking about the graphics, the art style.
I think it's wise we start with Breath of the Wild because knowing that it started out as initially a Wii U game, I think the thing that really brings us out a little bit more, and granted, is that a game itself can age really well if it has a really fantastic art direction. The thing you could probably say for the same thing with Wind Waker. In this case here, I really do feel like it could age a little bit more, like as the years come, even if it's compared to its other contemporaries, it's crushed by its own competition. But there were moments in there where I felt like that it just stood out for me on there, but it didn't show the real power of the Switch yet. Because I feel like that's
it's also a Wii U game, and the two versions do look very similar. I mean, there are some advantages to the Switch, but it's mainly a slightly higher resolution. I'm not sure it actually had any frame rate performance or not. But yeah, very similar looking games.
issues. Or no, the Switch had better frame rate performance, I believe. So.
Yeah, there's better frame rate. So yeah, Breath of the Wild's definitely a consideration. In consideration, I think also just the art style really helps there. That and the fact it is a very big open world.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the graphics do belie a great sense of freedom. It is going to be a game that will age very gracefully. We're going to come back to Breath of the Wild in 10 years and just be like, that game still looks amazing. Absolutely amazing. You know, yeah, I feel like starting Breath of the Wild is just kind of it pushes out all the competition in my mind. I don't think any game has looked as captivating as Breath of the Wild this year.
I mean, it's well. I mean, what do you have to say as far as like knowing that this was possibly your last Wii U game that you played on here, Colin, compared to just? I mean, this is the thing that we've kind of discussed right now when we're doing our our show here is for the award show is that how do we do this when we have one of our co-hosts is now a Switch, two of which have, one of which has like a 3DS that didn't really play as much, one did, and it's just all over the place here. So I mean. To me, I think that's a game that did push
those arguments. That's okay.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. Mm-hmm. Oh, no worries. Oh, sorry. I thought we were going to get some more Breath of the Wild opinion there. Let's park it for now. We know it's a strong contender. I think another strong contender is going to be, along with a bunch of other these categories, is Mario Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and again, it's a different art style.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of refinement, a lot of polish. It runs, performance-wise, obviously, runs circles around Breath of the Wild.
It does.
It's got a lot of charm and character in its own right.
To me, the strength of that game visually is just how well animated everything is. Especially from Mario's point of view, but I don't know. Mario Odyssey to me, I didn't think Mario Odyssey impressed me that much visually, honestly.
Okay, I was gonna say there's some really kind of very like bold, vivid scenes. Like some of the boss battles, not the kind of recurring ones as such.
Right.
Like the one against the dragon. The end boss as well. And like the set pieces now, like things like the jump up superstar bits of New Donk City, like in terms of just raw graphical performance, like it maybe, but in terms of like style and art direction, I think that's very high in those bits, and especially like just how it like very swiftly switches between like the 3D Mario Odyssey that you've been playing, and then straight into 2D pixel Mario on the side of the wall.
That is true. Yeah.
And I think although it's it's almost a devolution of graphics, I think it's a very impressive trick, and it looks cool doing it as well.
And the coolest thing about 2D Mario is when they make him go around a corner. Because I think it's like that's amazing looking. It's 2D, but he actually goes around a corner, and it's like, oh, I see, and it you can see how like flat he is. It's cool. But the transition between it being 3D and pixel art Mario is cool. I still don't. I don't think it beats that Breath of the Wild for me.
Okay. Well, I think a game that I did not play though, before I've seen videos of and seen people play of, I do think kind of makes that challenge, and that is Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Ooh.
I really do think that makes a bit of the case to one of the the game that at first nobody wanted, but then people fell in love with it at the end. So,
and graphically, it is a very nice looking game. Like it's odd, like you can kind of tell that it's not made by Nintendo in some ways, just because it looks like it's using higher poly models and such.
Right. Yeah.
Than Nintendo game usually does, but it does have that Nintendo charm still. And so like both like the cutscenes which run in engine. And just the game itself, the worlds, there's this like this almost surprising level of like sheen to the graphics, despite the Mario characters and the rabbits and such. But yeah, those wacky worlds and the characters themselves do look really sharp, do look really good. There's some very small little hiccups here and there, but I think the same at least can be said for Zelda.
Right.
Maybe not so much Mario. That's pretty solid performance rate throughout. But yeah, no, I could see an argument for Mario plus Rabbids.
I do want to add one more, and this is another third-party entry, and I would have to say just because of what the developer and people reporting over are able to do, and that's of course Doom. Just because performance-wise, even though it runs at 30 frames per second as opposed to 60 from its bigger console brethren, just to see something where you look at it and you're just amazed, like, wow, they were like Panic Button, I believe, was the people that helped port this over to the Switch, the same people who helped out with Rocket League. Now, to me, I don't feel like putting Rocket League on here as well, just because I feel like it's a fun, fantastic game, but obviously you can tell from the looks of it, it's like, yes, this is definitely inferior graphically. But Doom, even from like whether it's Doctor and Doctor, like, how did they get this to work on here? It's just like it just seems like it was so tightly packed. So I feel like
it's such a technical achievement, Doom. It kind of reminds me of Resident Evil 2 on the N64. When I saw Resident Evil 2 on the N64, see how they managed to condense a game of that caliber to a cartridge. I was like, that's pretty impressive. And to me, Doom's like the same thing. Well, Doom is obviously basketball, a far more technical achievement. It looks gorgeous on Switch from the footage I've seen. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, absolutely. I think Doom definitely deserves a mention.
Now, I've got a couple of 2D games to discuss here. One of them is Sonic Mania.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a 2D. It's a retro game. You might just kind of brush it off.
No, not at all.
However, it's impeccably well done. I'm just kind of going to add to the story behind it. Just to add to the story, not in terms of evaluating the graphics. But it's made essentially by a very small team of people. It's obviously led by Christian Whitehead, who did some Sonic port work in, starting with Sonic CD. But Sonic Mania is an original game, which I think is often overlooked completely. Even the stuff which is based on the older games, it's completely re-sprited. It is done in a higher fidelity, although it's close enough that you kind of don't question it at first.
Right.
But it's in terms of how they don't simply just make a Sonic game that could have ran on the Genesis. It is more advanced. It's like that sort of it would be the missing Sonic game from the Saturn, or something like that. And so they do incorporate like some very basic 3D stuff as like backgrounds and such, and they have like extra visual layers for like the parallax scrolling and such things, like which you wouldn't pull off on the Genesis. And it's very, very impressive, and it's very consistent. It's a very solid art style. It obviously runs fast, and it really does control its style. Like everything from the title screen when you got Sonic wagging his finger, but that animation must have so many frames to it because that's so smooth.
Yeah.
I dread to think how long that would have taken to actually animate that thing. But yeah, it's very impressive. Just everything from the little special effects, and you've got also the bonus stages.
Honestly, yes.
Recreation, the basic like low poly 3D stuff.
They to me, even though it's like they're very basic, I quite like the look of them. I was like, these are amazingly retro.
It's like faithful. It's as if that could have existed back then, and they kind of found it. And like, this is a game that they made and never released, and they just put it in there. But
that's right.
They created it, in today, as it were.
It's cool. It is cool. It's such a passion project, Sonic Mania. It shows. Yeah.
No. One that I think we are forgetting though on here to talk about is Splatoon 2.
Okay.
So I really do feel like that is a bit of a leap especially from the first game, which I think kind of was showing at least what we could see with the Switch and little details, knowing how much powerful, even though we compared to obviously else, it's underpowered. But I mean, it was almost when you saw the side-by-side comparisons between what we saw in Splatoon and then Splatoon 2. I mean, it was closely almost day and night. I mean, as far as like more little details are running around here, especially in the plaza, or even compared to like when you have like, the setup with Callie Marie and then you have Marina and Pearl here, it's just so much a little bit more lively a little bit. So
yeah, I mean, if I was ever to describe it as Splatoon 2, or even the first one, everyone would say, what's that game like? I would say colourful. Because the colours do leap out at you in that game, in that art style. Yeah, I mean, it's always gorgeous to look at. What is this?
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's one worth genuine consideration. It's a step above the original game, technically. It's a higher frame. Oh, no, it's the same frame rate, but it's a high resolution than the original game. But there's also kind of more new environments. I mean, not just there's new stages, but these Salmon Run mode has a very different type of style, different mood to it than most of the original locations from the first game. It's a bit more grimy, and the Inkling characters instead of the fashionable outfits you set them out with originally, they're in the kind of the blue collar type fishery outfits, and they're going around in their welly boots and such, and their overalls. And it works though. It doesn't have to be super colourful for Splatoon to work, and I think that is quite a feat for Splatoon 2. Like, it's got loads of that super colourful stuff, and it also has that kind of grimy stuff in Salmon Run, and you got a bunch of different types of locations in the single player mode. And it's a game which it ticks both it runs at 60 1080, I believe, at all times. So on the technical side of things, it's very high performance. It looks sharp, and it also has fantastic style. And the more I talk about it, the more I'm like,
you're selling yourself on.
I am. There are other strong areas of that game.
Mm-hmm. There are. We've got quite a few contenders here.
We do.
Do you think it's time we play? We have our contenders here. Do you think it's time we make the decision?
We narrow these down. Yes,
potentially. We can start taking things off the list, or if we can just. I don't think it's necessary like a uniform opinion quite yet. I think Zelda's quite strong.
I think Zelda's very strong. Honestly,
Zelda's very strong.
For me, Zelda wins best visuals this year, hands down.
See, I'm getting that choice between Breath of the Wild and Odyssey, but again, while Odyssey was so much colorful and, I said many times to me, just fills anybody who's a bit of a grump out there with so much joy once you get your hands onto it. I don't know. I think the only thing I kind of dock Odyssey or Breath of the Wild though for is I really the thing that I really do as far as is enemy placement. Oh no, enemy variety. I feel like that if there was a little bit more to that, I kind of liked it. But I'm gonna have to go with Mario Odyssey with this one. I really do. It just narrowly edges out. I really think as far as the best game visually.
So it's down to Lewis. If he's going to choose either or.
Yeah, I can pick Splatoon 2 at this point just to prolong the proceedings.
That'd be fine. Give us a three-way tie.
I do think, although like on a technical level, I think Mario is a better looking game. I do think Breath of the Wild overall has more. It's odd to say, but I think it's a more memorable style. At least it's more cohesive. It's on a much bigger scale.
Yes.
And it is just impressive. I mean, it's the world, isn't it, in Breath of the Wild? And I think the graphics sell on it. The art style sells that world. Like if you don't get that world looking right, feeling right, like being like living and breathing, like the word they kind of hang their hat on. I don't think that game works.
I mean, that was the first time I was caught in a thunderstorm in Zelda, and it visually is like, what the heck is going on? Because the sky darkens and everything. It's such a cool effect.
Yeah. I think that helps because it's very dynamic with the systems, and that it always looks beautiful though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So we've already got it. I mean, even though I just narrowly picked Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild is our best visual game of the year.
Hey.
Okay, we got one in the books. Look at that. And the rest may not be this easy. Or maybe they will be.
It depends, yeah.
Well, the next category is best audio.
Right.
deliberately worded as such. And so this doesn't necessarily mean best soundtrack, but just the audio from the game in the same way as we kind of judge visuals.
Mhm.
And I think some of the contenders here are going to be similar. I think we're going to have Zelda there. Well, that's going to be... I think it's going to be consideration.
Yeah, I know. Zelda needs to be included in this discussion. It's not just music; it's just its audio and its audio achievements that I feel like has done a lot for this. And
But yeah, another strong contender obviously is going to be Mario Odyssey. So I guess to get the small pitch on Odyssey is going to be like it doesn't necessarily have the most memorable tracks.
Aside from two, I feel like Cascade Kingdom is probably one of my favorite opening tracks on there, and of course, Jump Up Superstars there as well. And I would even have to say, with the New Dog City Festival
Kingdom as well.
That one too. So I mean, there's some good tracks in Mario Odyssey, but ones that I don't feel like are there. There's not a lot of grandiose ones that I'd see from like Mario Galaxy.
Exactly.
And I also kind of think of like when I think back of like Mario 64, like I feel like the individual tracks for each location are much more easy to put together. They're more memorable. Where in Odyssey, it's a bit, some a bit more environmental. Some are more like, that's the tune for that place. It's stuck in my head.
Yeah. Oh, I would say even Sunshine had that, and obviously Galaxy had that in a huge way. Galaxy has some of the most memorable Mario tunes ever. I've listened to the entire of the Mario Odyssey soundtrack, and I agree with Harrison. I enjoyed some tunes on there, but I don't think overall it's a strong Mario soundtrack as compared to previous games.
It's got some impressive individual pieces though.
It absolutely does. I'm not taking it away from that. Yeah, but for me, the game I'm going to pick is it might surprise Lewis a little bit, but I'm going to say Xenoblade 2. I think Xenoblade 2 has an amazing soundtrack, absolutely outstanding. Listen to it quite a few times. I've used several pieces already for the podcast itself, but yeah, I feel like that's an incredible, just from a music point of view, that sound, that score for that game is amazing.
Oh yeah, you can. I mean, for someone who's only heard tracks here and there, and then the audio clips from cutscenes from Xenoblade, is that you can always expect something for like those production of like those games to actually have, great soundtrack and even good sound to me. Now, you mentioned that though, and and I know you're kind of hesitant with like Breath of the Wild. Is I like it because of its use of audio.
Right.
The world is its star. And how it's changing, because I mean, even though we don't have it on, even though we don't have a category on here, whatever. I mean, I really would say my best gaming moment of 2017 though was when you get off the great plateau, and as at that point, it was like 3D Zelda games have changed for the better. Like they have changed since then. The second one being, the New Donk City Festival. But I digress when it comes to Breath of the Wild. It's those quieter moments that really just highlight things. So sure, you're not going to be having some main like little themes here that are going to be sticking out like in past games, but audio to is used so well just to immerse you. And it's not just music, it's just the audio and sound cues and the people like the Foley artists that were involved with making noises, like whether it's like steps, swimming, weapons breaking, everything that is there has a place. And to me, that's what makes it a bit of an achievement for for this year for the Switch. And that might be on there, but then you have Splatoon 2. So we have, which of course,
that's what I wanted to talk about next. Splatoon 2. Now, I think visually very cool game, but I think even more impressive about Splatoon 2 is the audio. And I think it's also, and I think it's the only one which is going to be in this category. With this argument, I think its range of audio has gotten better since the game's released. And the reason for it is because they've been releasing, extra stages and such. And the last big content update also included a bunch of new tracks. And it's not just like additional stuff. And they even made a statement around it, like in a fictitious statement, like in universe, that it comes from like this new band And it kind of expands, you know, the different genres you hear from the game. And like it had a really unique style before, and it still has a unique style, but it does span these different genres, and it's really cool. Like you got this more like rocky type music kicking in, and you also kind of get this more jazzy stuff.
Yep.
And it really does kind of, at least for me, like affect the mood I go in, and it's always a happy mood. But it can vary. Like it's really cool, and it's definitely unique, and like from all the way down to the very little minute details. Is like when you're stuck in a lobby waiting for something, every single button on your controller will make a funny little noise, and you can also alter those noises by twiddling your sticks in different ways. and each stick will change the pitch or some other like value of the audio in some weird way, and you can pull up some weird stuff good on that. But yeah, just there's lots of very cool little audio details, and I like the fact that they pay the extra attention and they make up these like in-universe like bands and people who are actually creating the music, and it's just cohesive with the art style and the game itself, and it all gels together. And I think for that, the audio is top notch.
Oh no, and I agree with you. Whatever. Even if I found like the first game to have a little bit better audio, like tracks here, but one thing I do always appreciate during Splatfest is the Splat themed like tracks that you hear during like battles. So those are really up there high with me, and you have to enjoy even if it's not actual dialogue, but the dialogue that you kind of the inklings and octolings that you hear during like the single player. To me, I feel or they're charming and cute in ways. But I think one of my final games I want to mention on here, and this is just from clips I hear, and it's Grant Kirkhope's score from Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. And of course, for those who don't understand, who aren't familiar with Grant Kirkhope, he was the one who was responsible for composing the soundtrack to Banjo-Kazooie.
Yep, that's all you need to say. He the soundtrack he did for Rabbids is a fantastic soundtrack, and it has one of the best songs, singed songs in the that I've heard in recent video games. Yeah, it is a fantastic piece of audio.
Yeah, I think the Opera Rabbids does bump it up as well.
It does.
I'm considering Mario plus Rabbids here. It was a great score as well. Like, it's a game obviously where you're staring at like the same scene for quite a long period of time, because it's a turn-based strategy game, and so the audio can be difficult to pick for that sort of thing. And they do a surprisingly good job of picking or of constructing something where it does kind of amp you up for like a battle, but it's also like nice and kind of jolly and peaceful still, or at least has those kind of moments to it, so it can play for this long period of time, and it is still a joy to listen to. It's not something which is it's too intense that you're going to start putting the volume down after you hit 10 minutes into a battle. Yeah, that is very well done, and everything, like you do get some banjo vibes like going through the overworld. And is Grant Kirkhope's like Donkey Kong rendition.
I never just hear that one.
Oh, that's masterfully done. It's really great, like clash of like expectations, like hearing it, and like the style of the music. All right, yeah, I know where it's going from, and it's like, oh, this is Donkey Kong.
I mean, it's come from the guy who created the DK rap. So
exactly, it is cool that he's like, oh, this obviously sanctioned, but this proper Mario game. It's just Oh, you just reminded me how good that soundtrack was.
It is a great soundtrack.
Yeah, and there's a couple of like good like set piece type track, like that Donkey Kong Rabbid battle has great music to it, as well as kind of the opera ghost thing, Rabbid. That's exceptionally good. But yeah, the rest of it's pretty really good too.
Do you
strong contenders already here?
Do you think it's time we decide on this one?
Maybe. Is there anything else anyone wants to add? Oh, actually, I've got one to add. I'm not sure it's going to make it, but I can't go throughout this audio category without mentioning Arms.
Oh yeah, we forgot about that one.
Arms has the most catchiest tune I heard all last year.
Really?
Really, that
it's catchy. It is pretty catchy.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of its track is basically different renditions of that.
Of that, yeah.
But it also like it feels right for that game. It feels like a Nintendo version of Rocky. And it's perfect. Like you get amped up for these online battles, and it's a kind of a bit like Splatoon, but I guess a bit more on the kind of that aggressive side because it is a fighting game. You are, fighting each other, but it does get you amped up. But it's in that distinctly Nintendo silly way. But it works. It works really well. And although you could see it as a weakness, like a lot of the tracks use that, that bass melody. I think it does add character to it. Like you see, for example, with Dr. Coyle we mentioned at the beginning, like her arena tune, uses bits of that original tune. But it's the way it kind of incorporates it into a very different sounding track. And it's like very spooky and creepy, but you do get that da-da-da-da somewhere in there. And
it's kind of bouncy, though.
It's a very bouncy track. Yeah. Maybe not the greatest variety there, but it's very strong indeed.
It has one strong track for me, and that's about it. But yeah, I don't know. I've listened to the Arms official soundtrack in there. It didn't do a whole lot for me.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not shooting you down or anything, but for me, it's
poor Arms.
It's
no
like
more characters coming. Take its audio all away. Oh dear. So is there any other considerations you want to add? Anyone got any strong opinions on the Sonic Mania soundtrack? That side of things?
I mean, it's a really good soundtrack. But the issue is it's basically remixes of tracks that have already existed. So
some are like none of them are like the originals. So you got remixes and you have complete news for the new stages. And it has that balance of well, at least in my opinion, they both feel at home together, which is quite impressive.
True, but yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. To me, well, that doesn't really stuck to me.
Yeah. Okay, so what are we all feeling currently? Let's see if we can jump to any conclusions just straight off the bat.
Okay.
Colin, any of these you kind of feeling strong for currently?
For me, I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is still.
Okay.
I think for me, it's the greatest audio achievement. Not just the soundtrack, but from the sound design as well. Yeah, I feel like the game, they did a incredible job with it audio-wise. So.
Yeah, and I mean, it must be and this isn't necessarily, well, it's not really at all what we're ranking it on, but it must be an impressive challenge to score something for a game of that size and for it not to be repetitive by the end of it. And still on that last fight being, I'm pumped for this. And part of that is the music which is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a very strong option there. Harrison, what are you thinking?
For my choice on here, it's a toughie on this one, but I may have to give. I'm going between Breath of the Wild for what it does with audio that isn't really as epic, and then I'm going back and forth between Grant Kirkhope's score for Mario & Rabbids. So just to be something like that, I have to give it to Grant Kirkhope's Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle for what he does for a score. And it just, again, that just barely beats it for me. I mean, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild to me, I think, is that high end as far as when it comes to, audio, mastery.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, this puts a very tricky situation. I did deliberately set this up. Am I going to become the decision maker on all of these things? I can either add something new, or we can all squabble a bit longer. However, out of those two, I've just finished Xenoblade Chronicles 2. This is not fair. I've got a poster of it on the wall.
Don't let that poster change your decision making.
What makes it worse is when I speak, I can see it.
Oh,
It appears on my screen.
it is.
However, I'm not actually going to pick Xenoblade Chronicles 2. As good as that score is, as impressive as it is, it's Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and I think some of it's like just really good music, but it's got those little cheeky bits like the opera scene.
Yeah.
I think that scene alone pushes it over the edge.
Kind of, yeah. I go with that.
If you got to take that, you need to get that whole thing as a moment, as an event, as well as the rest of the soundtrack. You know, 2 in 1. Yeah. So as long as there's no and like if I say that like it's 2 out of 3, it doesn't mean it's the end. But are we all happy with that as a?
I am personally happy. I feel like knowing how close Breath of the Wild came to this, and
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, there we go. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle gets our Audio Award 2017. We've got 2 more of these categories to give out before we go into our big top 10. Next up, I mean, really, like this should be the big one. Best gameplay. Which game has the best gameplay?
See, I'm going to struggle to contribute to this one because I've only played a handful of. I mean, I played Mario Odyssey, but only like small sections of it. I mean, for me,
should we start there?
Mario Odyssey. I was going to say
like you didn't play it for long, so what impression did it leave?
Honestly, I felt like it played well. I don't think I didn't feel like it was anything new for me personally. Even though with the hat mechanics and stuff that on top of Mario's basic abilities, I don't think it added anything overly exciting to me. Although I would say that the whole capture ability is a cool little nuance to that game.
To me, I'm going in my head right now, and I do feel like I'm kind of heavily leaning toward Mario Odyssey for this one because of how it's helping refine. It not only refines Mario's core abilities, but to me, the capture ability is just so much fun just to tool around with, especially even with the cap, the cap throw, which you could use. There's things you could do so much with it, whatever, between like the Koopa races that you do, where you see people just doing these amazing little platforming tricks. You're just like, how are you able to pull this off? And it almost gets to a point where it's almost breaking the game almost, but it doesn't look like it. It's you're able to do that much with Mario's moveset if you can master it well. So, geez, it's to me, but compared to Breath of the Wild, though, we're talking about something that has redefined Zelda.
Yep.
And just for it going forward, and what you can in that game, and what you can do in there is a matter of like what you can and can't do. So. But I mean, the fact that not can and can't do, but it's like half the time it's like I'm always asking, what can I do? It's like, and then later on you're like, I can do all this, but what can't I do? Aside from like, oh, I can't go far away past this point in the map. Yeah. So there's that. I don't know. What's everybody else on here? I feel like
Zelda's for me. The gameplay decisions they made in Zelda. I mean, the very fact that they gave Link a jump button blew my mind when I was playing Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild
not playing Link's Awakening.
True.
Wait, really? Yes.
But this Link didn't need an item.
You didn't need a feather to jump. You're right.
So, although the Link in Breath of the Wild is the worst swimmer out of the lot. Link in Ocarina of Time could swim around forever. This Link could swim around for a bit and drowns, which I always thought was a bit weird. But Breath of the Wild's gameplay, I just feel like the innovations they made to the traditional core Zelda gameplay were all good choices. They're all good changes. The only thing I would say about Breath of the Wild that really kind of took me away from it was the removal of the the heart pieces and things like that. Some of the core staples they removed did kind of irk me a little bit, but I playing Breath of the Wild just felt free. So I mean, the gameplay lends itself to that, which is cool. Yeah, that's why to me I feel like Zelda's gameplay was vastly superior to what I played in Voicey.
Yep. Now we're kind of focusing on these two, and it's for a good reason.
Oh, true.
My take on both of these, it's a very tricky one because I feel Mario Odyssey is more traditional. What I think of when I think of gameplay, it's very snappy. It performs how you want it to. If you fail anywhere, you feel it's not the game's fault. It's not the physics fault. It's I could have done that in a different way. Right. Whereas the moment-to-moment actions you do in Breath of the Wild, I wouldn't necessarily consider like in quotes great gameplay. However, it's a game based on systems, and that itself is the game. And so you're considering all these other elements. It's much more about a bigger picture opposed to how you control the character to do your sword play, as it were.
It's all about building up to those grand moments in Breath of the Wild, and the game is all about build up. I mean, the whole game is get yourself strong so you can fight Ganon, and that's the ultimate payoff. That Ganon fight is incredible. But yeah, I totally see like the in-between parts of Breath of the Wild, like traveling from shrine to shrine, isn't the most.
It's got a bit more downtime on the
exactly,
gameplay department, as it were. Where Odyssey doesn't, but they're different types of games. But I guess we are focusing on these different categories currently. Just jump out for a moment. Are there any other games we want to chuck in here for considerations in terms of gameplay? There's like obviously strong games for myself this year. I'm not sure they do stack up in this raw sense. Like I've spent loads of time with Splatoon 2. Really love that game.
Right.
And it's because of the gameplay. But it does feel very similar to the original, and I feel it kind of docks it some points in these considerations. Another one is ARMS, and that's going to be a very tricky sell. I do like how ARMS feels to play in that raw sense. I think it has great gameplay, and it is very original. It's very unique in that sense, especially if you play it with like the separated Joy-Cons. It feels precise. It feels fluid. And it does feel unique and original, and it feels fun, and frantic and competitive, and it's quite bizarre having a mix of games where you've got kind of that like Street Fighter-esque. Oh, what's my opponent doing? What does he think I'm going to do next? As well as you are actually punching and arcing your punches rounds, and it's a real great combination of things going on. Obviously not for everybody, but I do think there is an argument to be made for ARMS. It's going to be a very tricky sell.
Well, there's argument for it as far as the concept, knowing that it's just, okay, what if we did Punch-Out but with stretchy arms? I mean, but it goes beyond a little bit more than that for something that what seemed like a very odd, new IP to come out from last year turned out something that there's some fun to be had with it. And, even if for some of us it did not last long because knowing the Switch's output of games that we've had this year.
Well, that's not necessarily what we're judging it on currently. It's not where it's got longevity. It's just the actual gameplay itself, either way.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a tricky one, that one. But yeah, I think both Splatoon 2 and ARMS, great gameplay this year. I also want to mention Xenoblade 2 here. Now, it's again, like RPGs I don't think will come up often in this category.
Right.
Because again, at least I think it's more that moment-to-moment stuff. How does the character respond? And a lot of RPGs are, purely menus. And it's a lot of menus in Xenoblade 2, even though you're not jumping out to a battle screen. It is, obviously you come up to an enemy and, the menu just pops up on top. And you still have agency of your character. You can run around. But I do feel as kind of as epic of a scale it gets, it does still feel similar to the original game in terms of its gameplay. And I don't think it's that strength alone which kind of raises it, to at least where I feel it is kind of overall. It's kind of everything all together, as well as it just being on a massive scale. Worth considering, though, because it is a very cool battle system. It lets you and it encourages you to swap out your blades, to swap out your weapons, to swap out lots of different things, manage lots of different things, and like the small details can make a difference as well. So if you do fail a fight, it's not a matter I've got to do like a half an hour of grinding now. It's look at my setup. What can I change? What can I tweak? How do I change my party to do better?
Yeah.
And there were moments in the game where I did that. I fought it through. I changed up my setup, and I just had a much better time in that fight without having to raise my level above theirs.
That's cool. Yeah,
and that was really rewarding.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I still kind of think we're looking at Mario and Zelda, though.
I think it really goes down. I think that's the main thing when we look into it right now. Unless, well, yeah, I think that's really what it comes. But, well, gameplay-wise, I think we're forgetting about Mario and Rabbids, though. Did we ever mention something about that? That's also in
We've not yet. No, it's... I mean, I like my turn-based strategy games, and it does that. It does that thing well, which is surprising because it's like new out of the gate. It adds a bunch of new mechanics. You slide and bash into enemies. You can do multiple actions of the same character for the same turn. There's some unique stuff going on there, and it's very rewarding gameplay. There's a bunch of extra challenges after the story as well.
Cool.
And I think there's more coming. I heard recently as well.
There should be. I think there's a season pass.
Do other people feel strongly about Mario plus Rabbids here?
I've not played it. That's the issue. But it looks cool. From a gameplay point of view, I mean, it seems to be heavy based on XCOM, the new XCOM series. And I love those games, so I'd love to play it.
It is a cool system. It's kind of well balanced. It feels fun. It's also kind of a lot faster than that kind of traditional turn-based strategy game. It's a very impressive balancing act that game does, and delivers it in the package which looks as it does as well. You're essentially selling like a very niche genre of game to a very big audience, and I think most people walked away from that going, "Yeah, that was a fun game," which is impressive because I don't think most people would ever pick up a strategy game in that sense, but they did because it had Mario plus Rabbids.
So right now we've got our bit of our. It's down to our 3, or did we decide to eliminate? Are we on the page right now eliminating Mario and Rabbids for this discussion, or are we still up for it?
I think we're still looking at Mario plus Zelda, as it were.
Okay, fine with that. I mean, but I guess it's up right now for us to decide.
I guess so. Shall I start first this time?
Yeah, go for it.
We'll do a me, Harrison, Colin, like a episode intro. Between Mario and Zelda, I think as impressed as I am about all the systems in Zelda, I think kind of the category we're honoring here is more closer to do with how kind of tight the gameplay feels in Odyssey. Like it stops on a dime sort of thing. And you can also perform these really crazy maneuvers. I've not been able to get my head around them yet. But I think the fact that you can do that sort of stuff and you're then rewarded with like these little acknowledgements of things, like the fact that you could make it on top of this building by like no necessarily normal means, and they would have put some coins up there because they know someone would have been silly enough to find a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that obviously with the capture mechanic, there's like some of the enemies you capture are just kind of okay. But some of them are real highlights. Like there's a few of them in particular I think could be their own stars and platformer games.
Okay.
Like, especially near the end. Like there's some very unique ones. And there's got like a variety of different moves as well. Or you can use them in different ways.
I thought you were going to say the T-Rex is the greatest.
T-Rex is cool. T-Rex is fun. But I mean, like, that's in a weird sense, like just fun. Even if it's dumb, it's a fun gameplay still. Just stomping around as a T-Rex, and yeah, it's going to be Odyssey for me.
And you settled for me right now, and I think I'm sorry, Colin, but Odyssey for me really trumps it for a little bit on there.
That's fine. I was going to say Zelda personally because I've had more time with Zelda. For me, Zelda is just the evolution of a long-standing franchise, and I feel like they did everything to it.
No, and it's way for that. And that's totally understandable. I mean, I think what kind of made me sway myself for Odyssey though is it's just a capture ability and just a little more a moveset back to what Mario 64 was. Still, I will go on to say that the majority of the capture abilities are worthwhile to use, whether it's a boss battle or going through platform to platform or using puzzles. There's so much joy to have out of it. I mean, there's 2 or 3 boss battles that use great capture abilities that I just had so much fun just going back and forth and wanting to kind of do it. I mean, I would even kind of just delay beating a boss because I was just having fun just like messing around with it. So, yeah, Mario Odyssey to me is the quintessential like best gameplay of any Nintendo-based game this year.
Cool. There you go.
And and Colin, what's your pick?
I was going to pick Breath of the Wild. Just
stick to your guns, Breath of the Wild?
Sorry?
You're sticking to your guns with Breath of the Wild then?
Yep, I am, yep. But Mario obviously wins.
Right.
So, yeah.
It has been agreed. There we go. So we come to our final of these categories, at least, with our best story. And
it might be limited.
I think this is a more limited discussion this year, at least, but I think it's a good one to introduce for, the years to come. So what are our strong contenders? I think we've got an obvious one.
Yeah.
Which would be, at least for me, Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
There's that. I would have to act, obviously with Breath of the Wild. Yes. Even though I didn't play it though, but people have swore to me that it had a great story. Even better than the first one, SteamWorld Dig 2.
Now, it's got some good and bad news on that one. I've started playing it, and it's fantastic. However, I've not really got any real sense of the story apart from beyond the original premise, so I can't really champion it right now. I was very tempted to put it in best graphics. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Surprisingly good game, SteamWorld Dig 2.
How about, in place of that, though, I mean, knowing that we haven't finished it out right there, Fire Emblem Heroes, which, of course, a remake of which was Fire Emblem Gaiden. I feel like that would be very good.
There's a lot of Fire Emblem this year. It's not Heroes. You're thinking of Fates, which was early this year.
No. Wait.
Heroes was on smartphones.
No, not Heroes. I'm thinking of Echoes. Sorry. So.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Echoes
I meant Echoes as well.
Echoes is what I meant. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So there is that. I said Echoes. I feel like is the best one. Sorry for that confusion because I see Heroes and Warriors right here, and I'm like, if I only had Shadows of Valentia right there, I would have just gotten to it. But no. That's one I want to add to it. So.
Green Moblin just jumped into the chat with Echoes. I imagine with the delay, he was right on the second of it.
Yeah.
Apologies, Green Moblin, for that traumatic time of hearing the wrong game named several times in a row. And especially my correction, that must have been very painful to go through. So we've got Xenoblade, we've got Legend of Zelda, we've kind of got Fire Emblem Echoes. None of us have actually played it. What are there any strong contenders? Like, I wouldn't say like Mario plus Rabbids doesn't really have much of a story. It's funny, but it's very just much like an intro cutscene, and that's about it.
I'm gonna throw a little curveball in here.
Ooh, I like curveballs.
I'm gonna say Ever Oasis.
I
think Ever Oasis has a very, very. It's a very humble story. It's not grandiose in any way, but it's a very cool story. It's well. It builds on a nice pace. It's also very slow, but it does build up quite nicely. But yeah, Ever Oasis for me that's probably the only thing that really keeps me going in that game. Because I mean the gameplay got tedious is the word I'm looking for. I think after a while, but the story was really just building up this giant oasis. Was cool. So yeah, I'm gonna say that.
So I think probably with our stories though, it's like it's Xenoblade 2, Breath of the Wild, Ever Oasis. What am I missing? We want to put golf story on there. I feel like that's a bit of a
Okay.
It's a fun game, but I mean, I guess I'm not sure if the story ramps up at all ever in that game. But like the story was kind of
it's about golf.
I guess it depends how you define story. I know it's in the name of the game. It must be good. But that wasn't really like what I was getting out of the game. It was just a fun world to go around and like very like nice, pleasant characters. And now they had funny lines and such, but there wasn't really much of story going on. But I guess you can consider those sort of things like just the characters and environment building in a sense. But yeah, that would be at the bottom of the list so far, and it includes a game I've not played.
That's the tricky thing because we all play different games.
Exactly, yeah, this is gonna be true. So what do we think about the story of Breath of the Wild then? Because I feel that's quite divisive.
It's not my favorite Zelda story out there, but to me, I really like its portrayal of Zelda in this game and how it's not just. When you're looking at the game, you're just not doing the whole rescue a damsel in distress thing, whatever. I mean, she's doing her own job of keeping, Calamity Ganon out of, harm's way at this point. It's just, Link needs to come in and just, finish the job, obviously. But this is, I liked what, again, even if you want to say hit or miss the voice acting is, it's not terrible by any means, and it's not great by anything. I think it's acceptable. There's lines in here and scenes here that I feel like Zelda's English voice actress does really well, and some I feel like they could have done a better take. Presentation-wise, I think that's good for it. Story-wise, I haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to justify myself onto that, so I'm just going to get it out of the way right now. My pick's going to be Breath of the Wild. So,
okay. Yeah, I'll also go on record and say I think Breath of the Wild has one of the worst stories. I purely because it doesn't really get fleshed out really at any point because Link is asleep for most of the key parts. So yeah, it's all told in flashbacks and so on. It's not the worst. It's pretty bad.
No, it's not bad. It's just you could. I know you can probably say you could do something better with it.
Yeah,
I think I just think it's a bit of hyperbolic for people just editing it down. I mean, I got interested. I mean, there were things I was very interested in. I liked those memories that they brought out there. There were some scenes out there I really, really enjoyed, and there's times I just feel like rewatching on YouTube.
I really enjoyed the relationship between Link and Zelda. I think the story depth between those two was really well done. I think the overall story was just kind of lackluster, I would say. But
okay. Well, I mean, this is going to be this is one of the trickier categories, I guess, especially if you've not played all the considerations. And so I'm going to make my pitch for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And this is going to be deliberately, completely spoiler-free, but I'm going to paint a picture of the world as it's originally presented. And so it's a world where there's no ground. It's purely these big beast titans. That is the only land space this world has. And they are living. It's not like the original game where these two things are frozen in animation. You got these things ranging from this, these kind of dangly beast, which is kind of walking on the ground, but you've never seen the ground. No one's seen the ground because you all live on the cloud sea, and it's impossible to go any further down than that. You've got these kind of swimming giant whale things, and these other creatures as well, ridiculous in scale. And they obviously have their own communities who live on them all. And your main character is a salvager, and his kind of job is going into the cloud sea. He's looking for treasures of the past of just there's some weird tech going on, and that's what kind of drives him, is kind of finding out more about the past. And you've also got these characters called Blades. And make sure I get my terms right now. You got your blades and your drivers. So you got your characters called drivers even. And these are characters who can battle with other beings called blades. And sometimes these can be humanoids, or they're not humans. But sometimes they can be just more beastly. And these things come from, again, this is all spoiler-free, I believe, in this presentation at least. And they come from things called crystals. And when a person dies, the driver dies, I'm going to listen to my terms here. The blade go back to its crystal. It will lose its memories. It returns there. Now, these are kind of the basic premises. But as a character, you don't know why these things are the way they are. And you start questioning this stuff. Like, why are blades blades? Why do people team up with him? Why does that work? Where do they come from? Where do they go? Why do they lose their memories? What are titans? What's this cloud sea? What's under the sea? What's above? And this is just the world. It tells a real cool story throughout, as well as kind of piecing together this world and the characters it introduces throughout, which I've not really mentioned any yet. And it also has these very, very endearing moments, like, and this is relatively early on, and it's not particularly story heavy at all. You've got a character called Tora, who's a Nopon, there's a race who have been in the other games. These like kind of cute, comically reliefy characters.
Essentially, the Mogs and the Chocobos of the Xenoblade universe.
Yeah, and the thing I'm talking about was basically mentioned in one of the directs, and he creates his own artificial blade, but. I like one. There's a whole gameplay thing around it. She reacts completely differently to all the other blades, but in terms of the story, it's incredibly funny. That scene where Tora finally activates Poppy, who this artificial blade is, and it go through a couple attempts to get it working correctly, and it's witnessed by the other cast. Who is, casting their aspersions on Tora for, the first activation going a little weird, revealing a little bit about his history and what he might have tried to be making her for in the first place. And it's a really cool game, which goes from all the way from like these epic scenes to these ridiculously silly, funny, genuinely funny scenes, as well as kind of capturing I think what's a very hard art form to capture, which is like this anime art style, not in the sense of, getting a person looking right, but in how they flow and animate in battle. That is a very unique style. But the cutscenes which run in real time capture that wonderfully. But yeah, so that's my pitch for the Chronicles 2 story, if you've not heard of the world.
I don't know about you, Harrison, but I'm sold.
Well, then it seems to be the case right there. So, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, congrats.
But yeah, there is a lot of story to that game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it keeps going for that long adventure.
I folded under pressure. So
Harrison just wants to get to this top 10.
Yeah, I feel like we spent quite a bit of time. We have spent quite a bit of time on this one, and I'm like, man, it's a lot to go through. Well, I mean, a lot to go through, but yeah.
Well, I think it works out. As in, we've been discussing these games for quite a while now, as we've just pointed out, and I think that's only going to reinforce this next conversation. Of we've already talked about the pros and cons of different aspects to some of the strongest contenders here.
Yeah,
and I think that's going to help formulate this list.
No, you're right.
Well, let's just. What are in our top 10 without ranking right now? Once we get them all in order, the obvious ones that are going to be included in this list are, I think we can say for what we have listed on here, which are four separates right here: Breath of the Wild, Mario plus Rabbids, Super Mario Odyssey, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Yep.
It's a matter of picking 6 other games on here that are going to be on this list. So,
I like that thinking.
Yeah, let's just go off right now and just list off things that we feel like could be on there. Let's just the list we have complied here, and
okay.
Go ahead, tune
to that straight away.
So what?
Add Splatoon 2 to that straight away, I feel.
Okay, fine. Yeah, Splatoon 2.
That makes number 5.
That's
not in
5.
that order, but
Golf Story.
Okay.
That could be consideration.
There's consideration, sure.
Okay, well, we'll Golf Story under consideration. Sonic Mania.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I know. Okay. Trying to think. Well, SteamWorld Dig 2, obviously.
Yeah, I've not played it for long yet, but what I've played, yep, I'm happy for that to be there.
I mean, for me, if it seemed like the original, then yes, definitely.
I know. And I know I'm listening to too many Switch games right now, but I think we got to think of 3DS, and obvious choice here, I think, is Metroid: Samus Returns. And do we feel like, what other 3DS games do we feel like we'd add in here? Ever Oasis, Miitopia?
Ever Oasis for me has to be in there, even if it's still fairly low down, but I feel like that game is incredible. Achievement on 3DS, absolutely.
Yeah. So right now we're just going to be picking 10, and then we're just going to rank them out right now. So I think, okay, out of our 10 right now, and I know I'm kind of taking over duties, it seems like right now, from Lewis at the moment, but I'll let Lewis take over right now because I'm shouting a little bit more. So what do you think are the more guaranteed ones that are on here?
Okay, well, I think if we're just looking at the other 5, as it were, I think we mentioned some strong contenders like Sonic Mania, it's a fantastic game. Golf Story, I don't think it's as strong, but it's very possibly has a chance on this top 10 list. But I think there's some games we've not even mentioned yet, which may be up for consideration again. Rocket League. It's a game I didn't actually talk about, but I have played it now. It's a game I downloaded on my Switch.
I would consider that probably in my... Yeah, no, that could be something that could be easily a 10 or 9 spot for me. But, you know, that's in the consideration.
Yeah, I grabbed it on the last day of a sale. And I kind of got it just because I wanted to see what the fuss about, and I wasn't really expecting to be won over by it. But I was very quickly. I was like, okay, I see what the fuss is about. This is real fun. And it was odd, just kind of, you get a lot of the football vibes from it, like from the commentary type stuff, and obviously some of the imagery. And I'm not interested in football whatsoever, but oddly in this packet, playing football with rocket propelled cars, that is incredibly fun.
It isn't fun, but infuriating when you play against better competition. So yes. One obvious one that I think we on here, ARMS. I think that can be in consideration.
That's a wise decision there.
Yeah, ARMS, we got that. But one that I feel like could be on there, because I feel like it's one of the better third-party games we got, Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Yeah, so this is where it's going to get tricky, because there were a lot of good games this year. I agree. Puyo Puyo Tetris is a very good game.
That's the consideration. Okay, back.
I've got a couple of Fire Emblem games to consider. I think one of them's going to get ruled out immediately because how strong the competition is.
Right. Yes.
But the first one, Fire Emblem Warriors. In particular, the Switch version, because that's what I played.
Okay.
I've been playing more and more of that game, both in single player and in co-op. It's a game which has serious legs to it, in the sense it's got a vast set of characters, as you would imagine, even though it only picks from 3 individual games in the long run series. But yeah, a bunch of different characters and classes. It has the fun of leveling them up as such, but you also get the Fire Emblem strategy element to it, where you can command your units on the map while you fight as obviously one of them, and you can swap between them. Or in co-op mode, obviously you can have 2 people having individual units and ordering the others. And it's a real good mesh of gameplay, and it's real satisfying gameplay loop. Doing battles, specking up your characters, reviewing what to do next, and carrying on in a history mode map. I think that game's kind of been criminally kind of overlooked this year, and it's probably because it came out a weeks apart from Mario Odyssey. So I'm not surprised that happened, but yeah, it's a fantastic game.
But do you think But if we had to put one Fire Emblem title on here, would it be wise just to put either Warriors or Echoes? I think. I mean, I know we've had Heroes success come up here, but I think I didn't think like Heroes is up as like to par what we could see with the traditional like bit of format we saw with
I kind of feel like
Valentia.
Heroes. I mean, deserves like an honorable mention at least because of they managed to get a Fire Emblem game true to its roots on a mobile phone device. So for that alone, I think it deserves to be mentioned. But yeah, I'm not sure how it fits in the top 10.
Yeah, I wanted to mention it, and the reason being is I started playing it again,
Okay.
and that's because they did a big like 2.0 update to it, and it's a full new story mode. It's got a new like well-produced intro cutscene to it as well. But it was only going back to it I realized how much they've been adding to it constantly. There's so many modes, there was so much content. And the reason I feel kind of more, and I don't think it's going to make the top 10, but I feel it needs the honorable mention at least, is that there's enough content there now. You can just sit down and play that game and get loads of orbs.
Right.
And to do all those character pulls and such. It doesn't feel slimy at all. There's so much gameplay there, so many maps, and just by playing through it, they're chucking you orbs for you to do and that's the only premium currency in that game. I at least want to say if you dabbled with it originally and not played it for a long time, download it again if you need to. Check it out. There's a lot of cool Fire Emblem stuff happening over in Heroes on your phone currently.
Cool.
But yeah, I think Warriors is a strong one too. But we only got like these like 5 spare slots, and I think they've already filled up in that sense.
Yeah, it's well, what we have here is what were the ones in consideration? Sonic Mania, Ever Oasis, Rocket League, ARMS, Puyo Puyo Tetris, and I think we decided Fire Emblem Warriors. So
Harrison, did you want to add anything about Metroid? Samus Returns in here?
Oh no, I thought I already mentioned that. I thought
what I
have here is 6, and I feel like we have 4 spots left. So do you think it's wise for us to kind of go into our top 10 now and start going from 10 to 1?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to start piecing it together. And I don't think it necessarily needs to be final, but once we've seen it, we might want to swap something out, replace something. But at least then we've got a nice visual.
Yeah.
It'd be a much better framework there to build off of.
Because I'm picturing our top 4 now, and I think once we get to 5, then we can go back and just edit everything out. So let's do this quickly. Okay.
Yeah. So what do you reckon's in our 10th spot then?
Fire Emblem Warriors.
Yeah, I think that's a Warriors spot.
Yeah, I feel like out of the top 10, I mean, it's Fire Warriors doing number 1. But yeah, I feel like if it's on there, then yeah, 10 spot's good.
Yeah, there was a lot of good games this year.
Oh, okay, but before we even talk to right now, none of us played Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, right?
No.
So unfortunately, will not be in our top 10. I apologize to everybody out there.
And to be fair, I mean, I don't know how fair or not it is to say about a game you've not played, but from what I've heard of it, I don't think it would be in my top 10 because like, the bulk of the game is the same game.
Yeah.
Are we going to include SteamWorld Dig at all too in this?
I'll see how the list goes. I guess, and that's the question because if we are, it would be the next one potentially, wouldn't it?
Okay, how about this for 9?
Oh, it's a very strong start.
I was thinking for 9, maybe Ever Oasis.
I was going to say Rocket League, but...
Okay. Well, I mean, either or. I feel like they're not kind of interchangeable, really.
I think you kind of do need a champion, Ever Oasis, here.
Okay, so that's the thing. I played it so long ago that but the bits I do remember are very memorable about the game. I remember the strong opening the game had, the exploration aspect, the somewhat addictiveness of Ever Oasis, and the game is gorgeous on 3DS. I mean, it's handled so well, the art style. I feel like they did such a good job, and I feel like it needs to be noted for that in some form. So yeah, that's basically what I can really say about Ever Oasis, really.
That was your pitch.
That was it.
I'm going to be honest, that was a weak pitch.
It was a bit, wasn't it? But
We've not played this game. It doesn't deserve to be on this list.
That's the thing. For what I remember, yes, but I can't. I haven't played it recently, so I'm challenged.
Oh no!
Yeah.
What the dilemma? Let's put it in there for now. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
All right. Let's put it in number 9, Ever Oasis.
All right.
Okay. Although I'm going to spell it wrong and put a question mark there.
Okay. Number 8. I want to make my case for.
Is this Rocket League now?
Do you feel like Arms? Do you feel like Arms should be in the? Okay, can we say does Arms deserve to be in this top 10? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that Rocket League is higher or lower than Arms?
I think it's lower than Arms.
You think it's lower than Arms?
Let's put 8 for Rocket League.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know you can't use this as a metric to compare games, and also because I only just recently started Rocket League as such.
Yeah.
But I've played, I think, a couple of hours of Rocket League so far, and due to the pull it has over me, and a lot of this has been local, like 2 people in the same room, sort of playing game as well.
Okay.
85 hours of Arms.
Oh, wow.
I have really enjoyed Arms this year. It's a very, very cool game and unique. I think it deserves a spot purely for that. It's a brand new IP, not just an IP, but brand new type of game, really. At least in a subgenre.
So, Arms will be higher than Rocket League.
I think so. Yeah, I think Rocket League's good, but I think Arms just has a bit more unique chance. It has a bit more punch to it. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Okay. So would that mean I think it'd be wise to put Arms at 7, or do you think Arms could go up a little higher?
I'd be happy with Arms being at 7.
7.
Yeah.
Let's put a question mark. Let's put a question mark for Arms at 7.
Sure.
And I think one that we're missing out here because we're now getting into.
Yeah, this is going to be a tricky part in it.
Okay, because I think right now it's fair to say Puyo Puyo Tetris is a more of an honorable mention at this point, unless it could we argue with it. Now, there's 6 other games on here that are going to be on here, and I'm thinking, does Sonic Mania deserve to be on here? Is the question.
That's tough for me to answer because I have not played it. That's the issue.
It's possible.
From what I've seen, I would say yes.
Because this
is the way it hits nostalgia. I mean, for me, that's a strong point.
Because these are the 6 games that we have left to put on. There's 6 spots left, and here's 6 games that we know are guaranteed to be on here: Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Mario plus Rabbids, and Metroid: Samus Returns. So, is it at this point that we have to just let go of Ever Oasis?
Yeah.
No.
Well, we got enough slots so far, haven't we?
Okay, I think right now we can all agree that Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Mario plus Rabbids, and Metroid: Samus Returns. Do we all agree that's going to fill out the top 6? It's a matter of finishing. Yeah. It's a matter of the 7, 8, 9, and 10.
I don't know what that order looks like, but yeah, I think they're all in the top 6.
So, who have raised? Okay, let's talk about. Should Sonic Mania be in the top 10 in this list? I have not. I have not.
I'm not sure. I think we'd have to.
The one person who's played it is not sure.
How about this?
Well, these are very strong. Yeah, I like it. That's what I'm saying. It might do. It generally might.
Yeah. We will do this. Okay. Does Sonic Mania deserve to be mentioned, but as an honorable mention?
Oh, at the very least, yeah. And at this point, I'm not saying it's not allowed on the top 10. This isn't finalised by any means, but yeah, for now, let's park them.
Well, I'm mentioning. Okay, well, here's the honorable mention I feel like that could be on here. Okay, Sonic Mania, Puyo Puyo Tetris, but I don't think this will make top 10, and I'm just gonna put Fire Emblem Echoes. Okay, so, and I think
can we add Heroes in there as well as an honorable mention?
I'm putting Golf Story in there as an honorable mention. Or what would you say?
A lot of honorable mentions, though.
That's my honorable mention.
We can use this as the kind of the sideline list?
The Purgatory, the game of the year, Purgatory.
Oh, not even that. So like, but until we finish these proceedings, we might grab one of those. Like someone might have a sudden thought of inspiration and go, "Oh no, Golf Story must be on there for this one reason," and it gets into 10, and something else gets back into Purgatory.
But I know I feel like getting sidetracked here. Honorable mentions: Sonic Mania, Puyo Puyo Tetris, Fire Emblem Echoes, Golf Story. Okay, Fire Emblem Echoes, fine with honorable mention. Golf Story, same. Puyo Puyo Tetris, yes. Let's just get it all down. Sonic Mania in top 10, yes, no.
Ooh,
I say yes.
In place of what? In place of what, though?
I would say take out Ever Oasis and put Sonic Mania in there, honestly. I feel like Sonic Mania... I say I've not played it, but I feel like I would enjoy Sonic Mania more than Ever Oasis.
And we have spoken, and...
I want to chuck out a question here. It's a Colin question.
Oh.
Although I know you've not played this game on the Switch, I know you have played this game this year.
Okay.
What are your thoughts
on...
A bit of a drum roll here while I think...
I was going to say...
on Stardew Valley.
Ooh. Didn't play it, but...
Yeah, Stardew Valley I loved. I love Stardew Valley.
Is it deserving a place on this list?
If the Switch version is identical to the version I played, which I'm assuming it is.
I've seen the version you played, and it looks like the same game.
Okay, so if that's the case, then I definitely feel like Stardew Valley should be. Because that game is incredible. It really is.
How about... Would you be opposed of... Well, no. We'll keep Fire Emblem Warriors on there because the amount of hours that you put into it, Lewis. I feel like that's at least a defending of it to be in 10. I'm fine with Stardew Valley as an honorable mention.
Okay.
Okay, so I think... Okay, we already have these. Okay, let's... Are we fine with ARMS at the 7th spot? Or do you think it could go higher?
Okay. I mean, it potentially could, but I think we'll leave it at 7 for now.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So the remaining games that we have left that we know are going to be on here: Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Mario Plus Rabbids, and Metroid: Samus Returns. All right, what gets the 6th spot?
I'm going to say Splatoon 2.
Ooh. You might be right, though.
You might be right. You might be right. That one. No. You might be right.
Write it down. See what it looks like.
What it looks like.
It looks like Splatoon 2 in 6th place.
No, it helps. It helps me.
Okay.
It helps a lot seeing it there.
All right.
That's not as painful as I thought it would be, for example. Is a comment I make now I've seen it.
Okay, Mario plus Rabbids. Could it go higher or 5 spot?
Oh.
I got a feeling that could possibly get a bit of a higher spot, maybe a 4.
A 4, yeah. I think it'd be a 4.
I need to hear I'm ready to hear the pitch on Samus Returns.
I'm ready. My pitch is for it's the highest I think it can go right now is 3rd. Okay. And my pitch for right now is, I know people have said that like SteamWorld Dig 2 is probably, if you compare like Metroidvanias with this actual Metroid game, some people have actually preferred SteamWorld Dig 2 a little bit more.
I've heard that.
Oh, okay.
But I'm glad that this was able to turn like, a bit of a dark sheep of a, Metroid, a main series Metroid entry, and make it a little bit better for me. And I know I really like the counter abilities that you have with the Samus when you go with enemies, but I feel like it stops you in the action too many times when you're actually trying to encounter enemies. And I feel like, and I listened to some Retronauts when they actually liked the game, but as far as like if it's surpasses like that gold standard of like Zero Mission, Prime, and Super, it's not really there, because it's like when you have the abilities that you get, you're able to tool around with everything a little bit more here and there. But I'm willing to go 3, but make it. What do you believe it could be lower? I'm not saying it's going to be my game. It's my 3DS game of the year. That in my heart, that's my 3DS game of the year. But
let's see, that alone, you saying that, I feel like it needs to be in the top 3 to qualify for that. Yeah. I feel like number 3 spot it sounds good.
Lewis, any objections?
Put it in. See what it looks like.
All right. See what it looks like. It's like
the weirdest phrasing of that. Let's see what it looks like in number 3.
Yeah, it's like when you have a plan
I'm
out. Like,
sticking to it.
Well, when you have a plan out or something, it's like, let's see what it looks like on paper. It looks fine on paper, but then when it's executed, it may not be as good. All right.
Now I can visibly see there are 2 gaps between it and Splatoon 2 and the top position.
It's quite the gap. Let's close the gap right now. What's 5?
All right, okay. What's 5?
Do you? I feel like, even though I haven't played it, and it would be higher if I would played it right now, I think it'd be fair to put Xenoblade Chronicles 2 at 5. Because I think there was other games that really kind of came out and surprised us a little bit more, like Mario and Rabbids, which I would be fine with putting in the number 4 spot.
I think Chronicles 2 is higher. I think it's a lot higher, to be honest.
Oh,
it's yeah. I mean, some of these are going to come tricky. But that's
just for the sake of time,
I think it's not.
I'll give you that. I will give you that, since you gave me Metroid: Samus Returns on 3. I'll give you that.
It's a very generous decision.
No. But and I'll put Mario Rabbids at 5.
Okay.
all right, well,
Okay, now we have 2. Now it's just coming down. I think this was obvious. Do we all think it was going to be obvious coming down to Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild? But let's read off our top 10. How about read off our top 10 right now, Lewis, that we have just for everybody else?
Okay, in number 10, the Fire Emblem Warriors. Number 9, Sonic Mania. Number 8, Rocket League. Number 7, ARMS. Number 6, Splatoon 2. Number 5, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Number 4, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And number 3, Metroid Samus Returns.
Are we all...
Now,
are we fine with this order so far right now?
Golden. I think I'm happy.
Okay, now it comes down to Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey. Let's fight.
You know what?
Let's fight.
I think it's a little move, but I think I'd swap Sonic Mania and Rocket League.
Okay.
I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
I think that's right. We're allowed to be picky in our list. I think that looks right.
Such a picky little thing. Okay.
That's what it's all about, Colin. What's the whole point in doing this proceeding if not
okay,
things like that?
So Sonic Mania and Rocket League swap spots. We got that.
Okay. So yeah, 1 and 2.
How about we just go around and just make our case for what is the Nintendo platform game of the year?
Okay.
Colin goes up next. Yeah. Colin goes first. What is it?
It's a challenge for me because I haven't played Mario Odyssey.
No.
To its fullest potential. I mean, I've played snippets of it. I haven't done full parts of the game. For what I played, the game impressed me. It really did impress me, visually, sound design wise. But Zelda impressed me so much more. You know, and it that moment when you leave the resurrection chamber in Zelda, and you go into the Great Plateau, and they give you that sweeping camera angle. It's hard to top that moment for me in 2017. So for me, I think Zelda's 1 and Mario's 2.
Lewis? Well,
nope.
Yeah, well, I'll say mine because I feel like I'm still in that middle ground right now. I thought when Mario Odyssey was when it came, I thought things would die down from March until Mario Odyssey's release, and I felt like that Mario Odyssey was that big game that everybody's like, this is going to be, it's an already crowded game of the year field in all platforms, but for Nintendo's sake, it was just going to be these two battling out. Yeah. And I just feel like any other year, Mario Odyssey would be winning this top spot. But I think it's just the more you think about with Breath of the Wild, it really is that achievement for what it is, for what this franchise is, and what it did for these, Western style bits of development and gameplay mechanics, and just took it. And I've said this many times, it was Nintendo just saying, like, look what we can do, mic drop. That was just them doing it. Now there's things that they could have refined a little bit more better in it. I do believe so. I mean, I know people's weapon degradation is not a piece of cake in this game, but to me, I like it. It makes me want to try out new weapons more and more here. Yep. I love just able to climb anywhere. I love just a point like, you know what, I'm going to walk over here and see as far as I can go and just explore. and there's no shortage of things to do, and I still have things to do because I still have the Champions Ballot to play. Now, Odyssey, though, in the end, it's just so joyous to me, and it's like again, just choosing which it's a cliche to say, it's like which of my kids like, or which my siblings I like the best, or something like that. It's just I can't do it, and it's just with heavy heart that I have to say, yeah. And I know Lewis probably has in his head right now, Breath of the Wild edges out for me. And I know probably your opinion may not matter right now for Lewis unless you get unless it's a unanimous vote.
Well, let me tell you about a little game called 1-2 Switch. No.
Busting out 1-2 Switch now.
I would have just left the podcast right there.
That's why I said it. I was like, if 1-2 Switch even touched the top 10, I'm like, I'm done.
No.
A little game called Bomberman R. I'll get one more of those. All right, third try. It's Breath of the Wild. I thought it would actually be a trickier decision to choose between the two of them, but when I think about it, it's very clear to me. For me, it's Breath of the Wild all the way.
Okay.
From everything from kind of the emergent gameplay, all the systems, but more importantly, it was just it was a world to discover. Like, even after playing over 100 hours of it, and when I was like scooping up the final shrines, I would stumble upon like these huge things. I was like, how did I ever not spot this? But it's just all the little bits, as well as like the big pieces as well. All the systems do gel together, and kind of going up to Harrison's point as well, like a lot of people's criticisms, like when it gets to this point and they have to get nitpicky, is that one, yes, the weapon degradation and the rain as well. I think both those things add to the game. As strange as it was, like it does kind of need that balance. It is this world. It's not just this kind of play area as such. There are these challenges, both environmental and enemies as well. But yeah, I just also like the variety of ways you can play the game. I appreciate that you don't have to go and do any of the beasts if you don't want to. You can just craft your own story and head to Ganon when you're ready to do that fight. And it's a game, and that kind of reinforces the story and everything else around it. It's a very adaptable game, but it's also it's incredibly fun. It's incredibly well done. And for like a big open world game on a technical level, not to be a glitchy mess at all. It's refined, it's polished, it's what you would expect from a Zelda game, but it's like 1,000 times the scale of what you usually have. I was bowled over, impressed all the way. I keep returning to it this year. I've still got loads I can do with it. I still have fun jumping back into it. Every now and again, I still do that Ganon boss fight because it's fun just to let that play through and it get absorbed in like the end and then the credits. And yeah, it's as fun as Odyssey is, and it is a very fun game. It's very creative. I think Breath of the Wild goes above and beyond. I think a lot of games will be looking, or game companies will be looking at Breath of the Wild and how do we try and capture this in a bottle. And yeah, it's Breath of the Wild for me. It makes it unanimous.
It's unanimous. Our game of the year for our third annual Voicey Awards is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, and effectively, yes, a Wii U game. Technically, a Wii U game did win our game of the year, even though it was Switch.
The way it should be.
Indeed. So a very quick recap. The top 10 is we've got Fire Emblem Warriors 10, then Rocket League at 9, Sonic Mania 8, then Splatoon 2 at 6, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle at 5, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 at 4, Metroid Samus Returns at 3, Super Mario Odyssey at 2, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at number 1. And also in review, best visuals also went to Breath of the Wild, best audio went to Mario plus Rabbids, best gameplay went to Mario Odyssey, and best story to Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
And thanks to our listeners for pulling in for their favorites too.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to do it for the show, I think. It's quite a long show, as often these are. But before we go, we're going to go around and do our usual thing. But I also just wanted to both plug YouTube, which I think I've already done in this show. YouTube.com/Nintendo Voices, where you can both watch this show live, which we do every week. Except last week, of course. And you can catch the archives. And we also have a Patreon. If you enjoy the show, please do check it out. Please consider supporting us. There's some extra goodies there as well, which is patreon.com/Nintendo Voice. And so before we go, let's go around. Let you know how to get hold of us if you so choose, and anything else we've been up to. And Harrison,
yes,
how can people get hold of you?
Many ways. It's a new year and new me, but you can still reach me in the same places. You can reach me at Twitter. You can reach me at Twitter at @HMilfeld, and if you want to be my Switch friend, I have my profile that's pinned up to the top of my friend code's pinned to the top of my profile. I always mess that up for some reason.
Dreaded friend code. Yeah, so I guess I'm next. You can find me on Twitter at Highly Above, which is pretty much how you think it's spelled. Normally I would plug my streams, but I stopped for a while before, like during the Christmas holidays. I'm like starting to get back into them, so I have nothing to plug right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Can people check out your archives? Do you have archives?
They can, yeah. On Mixer and on YouTube, actually. We do a few testings on YouTube. So.
Excellent.
I have asked both. There you are.
Okay. Well, for myself, if you want to get hold of me, and again, I'm not sure why, you can find me on Twitter at Leuvsion, Leuvsion. And I think that's going to do it. So just a personal message, or I'm sure the sentiments are shared between all of us. Thank you just for listening. Not just this show, but throughout last year. If you plan doing it so going forwards, every listen, every watch, every share or like or whatever is very much appreciated. And it does go a long way. So thank you for all your support. And this has been it. This has been our game rankings, our games of the year 2017. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let us know through the content methods we've just said what yours were. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'm sure there's a lot of different opinions out there. I'd like to see if there's a lot of different number ones as well. But for now, thanks once again for listening. And this has been Nintendo Voice.
We'll see you soon.
Yep, let's have a great